Welcome back to Let the Quran Speak. Now we answer questions we've received from you, our viewers. And if you have a question yourself, you can visit our website, www.quranspeaks.com. Okay, Brother Shabir, we have many questions here. The first is, what is your opinion about praying 3 times a day rather than 5?
The 5 times prayer per day is mentioned in many reports going back to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, or at least attributed to him. And as far as I know, the hadith scholars have not deemed any of these to be unreliable. For example, Bunya al-Islam ala khams, that Islam is built on the 5 pillars, and it mentions the praying. I know, to be sure, I can't think whether this particular hadith mentions 5 times, but several other hadiths mention the prayers to be 5, and they describe each one with the number of cycles and so on. So this is well established. The Quran itself does not specify the 5 daily prayers in this way. That, some scholars can look at the various mention of prayer in the Quran, and they can see that this is referring to the morning prayer, this one is referring to the afternoon, late afternoon, just after sunset, or early night, and then late night. So we do have 5. But that's knowing that there are 5 and then going back and reading the Quran with that in mind. But altogether, putting together the Quranic description of the prayers and the descriptions found in the reports attributed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and as described by the early Muslim community, it seems that 5 daily prayers are well established. However, having said that, it is possible to, in circumstances, to combine the 2 afternoon prayers and the 2 night prayers, which means that instead of having to pray on 5 separate occasions, in effect, you'd be praying at 3 separate times.
But you still pray the 5 prayers.
The 5 prayers, yes. This is most notably done when a person is traveling. So let's say you're getting ready to travel in the early afternoon. You can pray the early afternoon prayer, which is in its appropriate time. But you can also combine the late afternoon prayer, which is not yet its time, but not yet in its time, but you're doing it earlier in preparation for the journey, because it'll be difficult to stop and pray on the way. So this is a convenience afforded to you to do it now. Then when you arrive late at night at your destination, then you can pray the 2 night prayers, the early night and the late night. So then in effect you prayed 3 times, but you prayed the 5 prayers.
Now, do you only do that when you're traveling? Like, let's say if you're a doctor and you have very long shifts, or if you're teaching and you don't have time to pray, let's say, the afternoon and the evening prayer. Is it possible to combine them in that case if you're just very busy or you have very busy schedule?
Let me start by saying that Imam as-Suyuti, one of the greatest Muslim scholars from the Middle Ages, has said that in fact one can combine prayers even without having the excuse of journey, or the permission that comes with being on a journey. But there might be circumstances, for example, it was raining, and it is noted that the Prophet, peace be upon him, combined prayers. And it is noted also that the Prophet, peace be upon him, combined the prayers even when it was not raining. And some say he did that just to show that it is permissible. And then it's once and for all established that it is permissible sometimes to combine the prayer, though not to make it as a habit. But let's say in the winter months, the 2 afternoon prayers come quickly one after another, and then soon enough it is sunset, and then it comes to the night prayers. So you might miss that afternoon one, especially going about your daily business. You mentioned some circumstances. One might be a doctor, and you're in the middle of an operation, and it's not convenient to stop and change and get ready and clean for the prayer and then go back to the operation. You have to work continuously. You could be for several hours straight. So in anticipation of that, you can combine the prayers ahead of time, and then once you get into that activity, you don't have to be interrupted. If you are out, for example, and you know that the afternoon is very short, and it might be inconvenient, you won't find a reasonable place to stop and pray the late afternoon prayer, you can combine that with the early afternoon, pray them at once, and then you go out and then you're free. Now, some pious minds may think, well, wait a minute, you can actually stop whatever you're doing and just simply pray and do it so wherever you are. I myself was of that mindset for many years, and I did that. I would pray at the mall and whatever. But we cannot expect this of all Muslims, especially nowadays when it might be difficult for Muslims to pray quietly in a corner. Somebody may come tug on your clothing or just shout slogans as they're passing by. And most people cannot handle that sort of thing. So we don't want Muslims to be depressed. We want them to go about proud as Muslims wherever they are, and to have a reasonable way of life. And this accommodation is already there, built into our system.
And of course, if you say that Muslims can combine their prayers, it might make it easier for people such that they don't miss their prayers completely.
Exactly. The downside is that some people may take this as a permission and become, you say
More
you give them an
lax,
inch,
yeah.
you take a mile, right? But I'm describing it here from the technical point of view so that those who need the permission can know that it does exist. But I'm not encouraging people to misuse the permission and just be lazy and not, just combine the prayers just as a matter of habit. I should emphasize that it should not be a matter of habit, but if it so happens that the circumstances are like that, then it's possible to combine, so that when you go out or when you embark on an activity, you're doing so with a free mind, not with the burden, man, I've got to pray. That should not be a burden. It should be, yes, a good reminder. In normal circumstances, it's good to know that you have to pray, and that helps you to stay away from evil things, because I'm going to be standing to pray before God very shortly. How can I do evil and then go to pray again? So I should stop doing the evil, not stopping the prayer, right? Some people may think I shouldn't pray because I'm doing so much evil. No, continue to pray and stop the evil. So it's good to have the five interruptions from whatever we're doing and go to pray to God. But we don't want to emphasize that to the point of making it difficult for people to be Muslim. It's difficult already being Muslim in the modern world. We don't want to increase the level of difficulty beyond that which God has imposed on people.
All right. Very quick question. So someone who has committed major sins but not shirk, right? And they die without repenting. The person is asking, will this person stay in hell forever?
What is generally known among Muslims, and this is widely attested, or firmly so, is that Muslims will eventually be taken out of the fire, and they will be granted a place in paradise, even after suffering for a while. So in the case of a Muslim committing even major sins, the hope is that the Muslim will eventually enter paradise.
All right. Thank you for that, Brother Shabir.
You're welcome.
That's all the time we have. For updates and additional information, please visit our website, www.quranspeaks.com. I'm Safiya Ali. For all of us here at Let the Quran Speak, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.